What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the What's Poppin' podcast.
What's going on?
This is the real estate series. It's a pretty sick series, man. Like I said,
right down your alley, bro.
Right down my alley, guys. And we got a pretty special guest for you guys today. Today, we're talking about real estate investment. So anybody that's been thinking about getting into real estate as an investment, kind of has no clue how this whole process works and stuff like that, we got a solid guest on it for you today. This guy owns 178 doors. He made $1.9 million in total income last year. This guy finished 8th in all of Canada in mortgages. He's got an R8.
He's got an R8.
And he travels 5 out of the fucking 12 months a year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Brock Frost.
We have to slide into the show.
No, you're here.
Welcome, gents. Thanks. It's rare I'm the least attractive man in one set.
Look at this guy already.
I'll take it.
Brock, man, we appreciate you taking the time for coming on the podcast today. Like Mark said in the intro, if you're interested in investing into real estate but have no clue where to start, or you have a bunch of questions, listen up, because we got a lot of questions for Brock, and he's gonna kind of give us an idea of where to start.
I'll go easy. I'm a bit shy, so go easy on me, boys.
For sure, man. Well, I mean, let's start here, because I know you got a pretty solid story. And speaking to the mic, you got a pretty solid story of how you got into real estate investing. I know you started from nothing and then it grew pretty quickly. So do you want to talk about that a little bit and let people know how it started for you?
Yeah, so sure. So when I was 25, I finished university and I decided to just travel. I had won 60 grand playing blackjack, believe it or not.
No way.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, should I do a master's or should I travel? I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not going back to school. I just finished school. So I traveled for 5 years, learned a lot about myself, saw about 60 countries, came back to the beautiful hometown of Cornwall, Ontario. That's right, ladies, Cornwall. Broke. So I had just spent all my money traveling.
The whole 60K.
So I show up at 30, kind of just like, you know, I still had the earrings and the blonde hair, had no money, no assets. I was kind of just planning on regrouping, doing laundry, and just kind of taking another trip somewhere because I had become addicted to the world. And I literally found, you know, one of those cheesy stories I saw, believe it or not, one of the Donald Trump books lying on a coffee table. It was like The Art of the Deal or something. And I read it. Now, I'm not really saying Donald Trump is a good author, but the moral of the story was just buy properties. And I started thinking back to when I was a kid playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
You guys ever played Monopoly?
Yeah,
I love that game.
Of course.
Before you really knew what properties and mortgages were, I just remember like everybody that owns the properties always wins. So literally after reading that book, I didn't have any money because I just spent it. I didn't have any income because I just got back to Canada. But I talked to a mortgage broker before I even became licensed as a realtor. This was in 2011. I said, can I buy a property with like no job and no cash? And then the rules were different back then. So long story short is I bought my first property with a line of credit as a down payment. And I'm like, that was kind of fun.
How much was it back then?
$138,000 house is what I first bought.
Wow.
Okay, so dive into that a little bit deeper. When you say you bought it, for the people that don't know too much. So, you know, you bought a down payment with a line of credit. How is that possible?
Well, still to this day, you can borrow a down payment as long as the income is sufficient, covers all the income debt ratios and the credit's strong, et cetera, et cetera. But back in the day, like rules changed significantly in the mortgage world 4 years ago. Back then, you could just do things like stated income. You're just like, I assume I'm going to make this much.
That's fucked.
So, but I had really good credit.
How did that turn out though? For
well, it turned out well for me. You know, but so anyways, long story short, I bought this first property, so it was like 5% down, 130. It was like $7,000 down.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. And then I go to this broker at the time. I'm like, can I do that again? And she's like, I think so. I bought my second property, no joke, for 90 G's.
Wow.
Long story short, I bought 20 properties in 3 years. So I really didn't know what I was doing other than I just had this thing in my mind where just like, get my hands on titles. I didn't care about the headlines. Before headlines were headlines. I didn't care about what the rate was. If you ask me today what any interest rate was on any mortgage, I don't know. I know the addresses. I know how much money I've made off them, but I don't know the interest rate. People always are scared about, I just got into it. And I said, I just knew somehow it would work out if I owned property. Because I've never heard of anybody being broke that owns a pile of properties. I said, there has to be something here. Right?
100%.
How many real estate investors that you know owns a lot of properties that's broke?
None.
It's not a thing. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it. So by osmosis, just being able, just having to get mortgages and funding and finding creative financing. I was actually learning to be a mortgage broker 8 years before I even got licensed. So that's when I got licensed as a mortgage broker 6 years ago. I had I have a lot of experience and knowledge because I had been an investor for so long. And being a real estate investor, the biggest aspect is money, which is mortgages.
Wow.
So my advice to the young people out there is stop listening to your dad, who's not unless he's a real estate investor. Stop listening to your buddy's neighbor. Stop reading the Facebook articles about the apocalypse. Stop reading all the articles about the friggin', the world's ending and the rates are. Get your name on the property. You will pay off in the end. It always does. I've bought well over 100 properties personally because I own a bunch, but I've sold a bunch. This is how many times I've lost. You guys see that on camera? Right here.
That's a 0, guys.
That's a 0.
That's a 0.
Literally 0. And this is when I first started. I had no idea what I was doing. All I had was balls. I didn't know anything. I had no coach, had no experience. I was just like, I'm just gonna get my hands on titles, and something good is gonna happen.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 30, so I'm 41 today. So when I was 30, I literally in 11 years I went from 0 to 178 units.
Wow, it's crazy. Should we talk about what we're popping today? That was crazy story to start
right there, guys. So what do we got here, Brock? We got some
H2O.
We got some vodka here.
Yeah.
This is that summertime watermelon. So, guys, we're going to pop this. We'll be right back, and we'll dive right back into this interview. All right, we're back. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Salud.
Thanks for coming, man.
Cheers. Salud.
So, so obviously, like we just said, man, that's a pretty crazy story. Like, just get into fucking real estate, get your hand on properties, and you're gonna win in the long run. But obviously, I'm assuming you don't just close your eyes and pick a property and say, I'm gonna buy that. There's some method to the way you choose a good investment property. So can we talk a little bit about that and kind of, what your process is when you're looking at a property? And yeah,
it's a loaded question. I used to be like that, to be honest. I remember another cool story to back up my beginning, whereas I think after my third property or my second property, I said I wanted more. I was just like, this is fun.
It's like a tattoo.
So I went on Kijiji and I saw this ad. It was like this woman says, I'm like selling all my properties, something along that line. So I messaged her. I just said, I'll buy them.
Keep going.
I said, I'll buy them. Not really having any cash and knowing how I was going to buy them, but I just said, I'll buy them. So I meet up with her. It's like this 75-year-old woman. I was 30 at the time. I'm flirting like crazy, right?
Trying to get a deal.
Just trying to get a deal.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
She drives, we drive around Cornwall. There's 3 properties. Like, relatively speaking, they were all dumps, but I didn't care. I was just getting into the game.
Would you put out for the deals?
Absolutely not. And if I did or would, I wouldn't say that on camera.
Okay.
But I know you would.
Hey, no, man. Depends on the deal.
Long story short on that one is I convinced her to do what's called a vendor take back, which essentially is the seller actually lends the buyer the down payment to purchase the very property that they're selling. So I was able to buy. I actually did a post on Facebook. My first post when I came back after a month was titled "How to Use the Same Down Payment on 3 Different Properties." So I bought one property from her, used my first property as leverage for the down payment. The second property, I used the one I just bought from her as leverage. And the third one, I used the second property. So I bought 3 properties off this woman with no down payment.
So to break that down for you guys, what he did was he got the 80%. So when you go to the bank, right, you're going to get a loan. You're going to put 20% down and you're going to get another 80% from the bank. So he got the 80% from the bank, but the 20% you got
from the seller
as a loan from the seller. And then he used that property, used the equity in that property as the 20% down for the next property, and kept doing that over and over.
So when I started, this was all within the first year. So that was about property number 6 that I bought out of the gate with no cash. First 2 I bought on a line of credit, and then these 3 were on vendor take back. So I'm like, I'm off to the races. And then the income was covering all my expenses and debts, even on the lines of credit and everything, and the second mortgages to the seller. So I'm like, okay, I just bought 6 properties with no money down, and my income is the same because the rents are covering all the expenses. So I'm on to something.
You're
here.
golden.
Yeah. So back to your question on how do you choose property. So what I was getting at with that is, at that moment, I was choosing whatever I could to get a deal. You know, I didn't have a lot of options. So this woman was saying, I'll do a vendor take back, but you're buying these properties, right? I had to buy her properties. After that, I started getting into cash flow because I had just come back from traveling. As I said, I was broke. So my main focus was cash flow. I buy properties that, again, looking back, were kind of junky, but they produced more positive income because I had a lifestyle to sustain. I didn't have income, so I needed income to survive. So my first focus for the first, I would say, 4 to 5 years was all on cash flow. Moving forward to today, I literally could care less about cash flow. Not to an extent. Obviously, you want as much cash flow as possible, but now I'm more of an equity investor. Most of my properties, I would say now, are cash flow negative, but I pay down massive amounts of principal every month off my mortgage. Appreciation is strong. I have enough income from other sources to support these small losses on rentals. It's a long-term play.
What would you recommend to somebody just trying to get into the market right now? Someone that's young, what kind of strategy would you recommend they go down?
I would look at both. Like, I had these calls a lot where you want to be focused on growth, but you also want to be you have to be able to sustain income in the short term, right? For example, let's just say you came to me and you're like, I'm going to buy this property. Let's just say it was $200,000 under value. I mean, that's a good deal. If you can buy a property $200,000 in value. But if it's going to give you a $2,000 a month net loss and you don't have the income to support that, then that might not be a wise move. It's going to put you in a bad situation. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be anxious and all that stuff. So when you're starting out, you have to look at both. I would definitely focus on cash flow so you're not any worse off. But when you're starting out, you really want to focus on growth. You cannot get rich by cash flow. You get wealthy by appreciation and paying down your mortgage.
That's a nugget right there.
Okay. So when you're looking at a deal, you really have to map it out to the investor's kind of situation, status, and what they want long term. I'll give you another flip side. Let's just say you were 75 years old and you come to me. What the hell do you care about growth? You're 75.
You got like 10 years left.
You're there. Cash flow will be more important. You're not there to grow. You've already grown, hopefully.
So everything you said seems like it went smoothly. Did you ever were there any challenges that came up or any risks with certain properties? And how'd you deal with that?
Absolutely. Almost went bankrupt twice. Yeah. Well, first of all, I had a rock bottom when I was in Cornwall in 2014. I had one of those social media public outrages, lost my business, relocated to Ottawa. That was the theme of my first book. I've also published 3 books too. So the first book was all about
add it to the resume.
All about my failures and how I learned from those failures to build myself back up again. Second time I almost went belly up was I convinced myself that I should do 2 massive flips at the same time. Borrowed $600,000 on private money. And at the time I had 11 properties accumulated from all these things I was doing. So I had 11 properties.
All on the line.
Bought $600,000 secured against all 11 properties. Did 2 flips. One contractor fell on the job, sued me for like $350,000. I ended up squashing that. Another contractor was stealing money and not paying her subcontractor, so there was delays. So I'm like bleeding cash on these 2 flips, hemorrhaging. I just squeaked out. I was about $6,000 a month just interest on the loan, and there's no rent coming in because they're flips. And but anyways, I just managed to finish the project, sell them both. And that was the moment. That was about 2015. I have not to that day have a cent of debt.
Wow.
I own 5 vehicles, paid off. I have no credit card debt, no lines of credit, no student loans, CRAs paid off, HST. I am very, very liquid. I have mortgages on most of my properties. No debt. I will never have another piece of debt. That's because when you have debt, you lose control. I wake up in the morning, I don't owe anything to anybody. I control my finance. You can make better decisions when you're not having to worry about paying off these bills. And I can tell you, 90% of Canadians on the mortgage files I see, people are loaded with that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Wow.
Loaded, man. Canadians are spenders. They're not savers. We're addicted to keeping up with the Joneses, impressing people on social media. I know I'm getting off topic, but at that moment, I learned debt-free.
And good credit, right? Because
good credit goes
a long way here.
You can't,
even if you don't got the money, right?
As you expand, as you build wealth, credit becomes less important. I'm not saying it's not important. It becomes less important. When you're starting out, if you have nothing, and you have no credit, you ain't getting started. Unless you convince somebody they give you your money. That's how are you going to do that? Like I got started because I literally had no job, no cash, but I had good credit. That's how important credit is. We are a society of credit. Your bank will just email you credit cards, but you don't even ask for them half the time.
Yeah. So let's say a young adult wants to do what you did. Can they do the exact same thing right now? Get a line of credit in today's day?
I mean, you could, but you have to have income as well. So you can definitely borrow a down payment, but income and all that stuff needs to satisfy different policies. But you couldn't buy a property with just good credit and no cash.
So I guess my next question is, what's the difference between when you started buying properties versus today?
Mortgage policy.
And what is mortgage policy for people that?
Well, there's about 6,000 mortgage policies that I can go through. So I'm going to say that the mortgage policies have changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely more strict.
It's just strict. Sure. It's not. Yeah, it's just more stringent. And policies are there to protect the integrity of the institution. So I can't really say that I'm not a fan of the policies because they protect. Like I've made a lot of money in the real estate industry, and part of that is being protected by the regulations and rules. So I can't say that I don't like the rules. I have become well off because of it. So they were just different. Had I gotten started the same position, it would have been a lot difficult to get started. But having said that, everybody has a starting point. Everybody. If you come to me and you're bankrupt and you're broke, you have bad credit, well, there's something that you can do to progress your situation. You might not be able to buy right now, but you can progress your situation. Everybody has a starting point.
100%.
Everybody can do something to get ahead.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned when you first started buying properties, you just want to get your name on property.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say me right now in today's age with this market as of now, if I want to go out and buy a property, what should I be looking for or invest in a property? What are the things I should be looking for, and what are the things that would kind of steer me away from that specific property?
Yeah, so back to my previous point where you have to look at your individual financial position first. So if you are just getting by and you have moderate income and you can't sustain any losses, then you need to look at a property that covers itself. You don't want your first property to bleed you financially. Because I've seen people where during COVID, this happened all the time. People bought they overpaid. They had a low interest rate, bled all their savings on the down payment. Now the properties are down in value, their rates are up, and they have no savings. They have no escape plan. There's no plan B. They're underwater. They can't sell it because that's at a loss. Mm-hmm. They have no cash to sustain the payments, and they're losing money monthly. That's the recipe for disaster. So starting out, I would make sure you're in a situation where you can at least cover your expenses. Make sure that you have a cash reserve for a rainy day or things always happen. But aside from that, I would focus on growth because the way you're going to expand and build a portfolio is through leverage, and leverage is done through growth.
So you basically want to focus on properties that are undervalued, or in an area that is going to appreciate pretty well. And I agree with that, right? Find something that's going to at least hold itself, but it's easier said than done in today's market.
It's tough.
Right?
Like right now, nothing really cash flows. I mean, it doesn't actually. So you have to. But if you could sustain a loss, I tell clients, this is a daily conversation I have. People are calling me like, I'm $1,000 a month loss on my property. Like I'm going to sell. I said, okay, think about this. Your property's worth, I'm giving an example, $600,000. You're losing $1,000 a month. In a year, that's $12,000. If you wait a year, that property's going to go back up to $700,000. So by selling now, you're losing $88,000. You're going to cut the bleeding, which is $12,000, but you're going to lose appreciation of $88,000.
And then add the fact on top of that, if they sell they're probably going to go rent, and now they're throwing money away as well.
It's just not, if you can sustain it. So I tell clients, I'm like, look, it's a short-term pain. Go out, and I'd rather see you get a line of credit to cover your shortfall than to sell at a loss.
And you know what I always say as well, and this fucking it's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, especially in today's day and age. But maybe you gotta step back, take a couple step backs on your lifestyle for a little bit too, right?
I had that chat with someone maybe a week ago. They called me. They're like, our properties are underwater, blah blah blah. And I looked at their financial situation. Their car payments, $2,800 a month. I said, why don't you dump one of your car? Oh, you need a car. You don't need a 2023 F-150 souped up this and that. I mean, but if you tell yourself that you do when you're also complaining about then I can't help you.
Yeah.
If you don't see
you got to be real.
Right? And some people will say that and then they'll be eating out 3-4 times a week.
It's an $1,800 a month car payment.
That's fucked
Okay,
up.
that's more than both your property losses combined. So, and I think they actually ended up selling it. I said, do not sell. I highly don't encourage it. And I think they did.
Yeah,
and that's why they're in the position they're in.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead.
I was gonna say, so how important? Like, I'm just referring back to your story. Yep. So, how did you work with anybody, like a realtor or anything like that? And is it important? How important is it to work with a realtor when you're first, especially like today?
Well, yeah. I mean, so when I first started buying properties, I think right after my first 2 or 3 purchases, I said, well, I might as well become a realtor because I'll get paid to buy my own property because clearly I'm buying a lot of property. So I was a realtor from like 2011 till 2000, actually just last year. But in 2017, I made the switch from realtor to mortgage broker. But I had that dual license. I never traded real estate for like the last 6 years, and now I'm not licensed, but I became licensed. So there is value. There is value in realtors. There's a value in mortgage brokers. There's value in lawyers. There's values in accountants and bookkeepers and all that thing. But I always say that just because you're licensed doesn't mean you're good. There are more bad realtors and brokers and lawyers than good ones. Fact.
Couldn't agree more.
Fact.
The
amount of times I have to school a lawyer because they don't know what they're talking about, or a realtor, for example, or always a mortgage, like it's just staggering. So, but the unfortunate part is the general public doesn't know. They just assume, oh, you're licensed, you know what you're talking about. My advice to people, if you follow somebody that you kind of want to mirror their footsteps, right? So if you say, I want to be a real estate investor, then use a realtor that's a real estate investor. Right?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Or I have my accountant, like for all my corp stuff. If my accountant doesn't have experience in corp tax returns, why would I go there? Not because he's a nice guy? He's not even that nice. Right? Depends on what you want. Right? Some people just want to be first-time buyers. They want to be handheld and excellent service. Fine, then use somebody that specializes in that. But I would say pick and choose your partners wisely. Don't just use somebody because they're your dad's buddy.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Yeah, build your own team, guys.
Yeah.
Like, and let's dive into that. Actually, perfect segue here. So, how important is it to have a solid team when you're getting into real estate investing? And talk a little bit about like the key players on your team and you know the difference they make in being successful.
Yeah. So I honestly couldn't do what I do. So I have 5 businesses now, all mortgage and real estate related. I have 5 assistants. All women, of course. I jokingly but seriously tell them, I would say on a daily basis, when you quit, I quit. I couldn't do it. Like I actually couldn't do it. Not only time-wise, but I don't even know half the stuff they do now. And it's like I've trained them so much in sync where they're intuitive to what I need each of my business. So I have a mortgage assistant for my mortgage broker business. Then on my private mortgage company, I have another assistant. I have a personal assistant, 3 or 4 property managers, marketing assistant, and it's a machine. You can't scale. You have 24 hours a day. So do you. So do I. So does Zuckerberg. So does anybody in this world. How can you scale if you're by yourself? It's rhetorical. It's mathematically impossible to scale. So every morning I have my routine. I get up around 6, have my coffee. You should see my coffee
espresso
machine. Oh yeah, it's the grinder and the little fucking frother.
Oh, buddy, I got the same.
Yeah.
So
it's probably like.
But the first thing I do every day is I look at my calendar and I make sure that my assistants have their instructions for that day, because that's how you keep the machine going. And that includes lawyer. Like my lawyer, I have on text messages. Like if I can call my lawyer, say I need this private deal closed in 2 days, they'll close it. They'll close it. You have to have people that you rely on. trustworthy. When I'm gone, like I'm gone 5 months a year.
Yeah.
You think I couldn't? You think I could manage my stuff abroad? Like I have this
$1.9 million in
but
income.
but I have people like check on my house. I had last time in November, I was coming home from, I don't even remember where I was coming home from. On the way to the airport, my assistant texted me. It was a video. I'm like, what is it? 2 inches of water in my basement.
Damn.
I was on my way to the airport. By the time I got home that night,
Done.
insurance company had gone and left. Water was gone. Commercial dryers were running in my basement. Insurance claim filed.
Wow.
That's solid. So let's
you pay them well, and you pay them.
Of course, take care of your people.
Of course, right? Because that's the thing. Right?
Well, my one assistant last year made over 100 G's. She's working from home, laptop, takes her days off when she wants. I haven't seen her in a year. You empower them. You respect them, empower them, make them free too. I would never, having the lifestyle I have, I would never make an assistant go to the office every day. I don't believe in going to the office every day. Therefore, I don't demand you to. I want you to be free. If you need a day off, take it off. Because if I need a day off, I'm taking it off too. So I want you to be empowered to live that.
I like that. As long as they're doing their
do the job, man. I don't care. The job gets done. I don't care where you are. My assistant right now, one is my private mortgage assistant. She is in Egypt right now, literally right now as we speak, on a plane to Kuwait. My other assistant's in Syracuse. My other assistant's in Ohio.
You're rubbing off on them, eh?
Do your thing. Get the job done. I don't care.
Do you feel like that they come to work for you because they see that lifestyle and they want to live it as well?
It's maybe possibly, but it's also just, I think like-minded people attract like-minded people, right? Like they want to work for me because I let them be free.
And he takes care
of them.
And
they let me be free. And I take care of them. Like, there's a lot of, in this industry, there's a lot of condescending bosses that treat your, like in superior. I actually call all my assistants boss. Like we're doing morning boss. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your real estate investing team. So obviously you got assistants, but I'm assuming you got like some contractors that are on the go. You got some, you know what I mean? Let's talk about that a little bit. And look, for somebody that's looking to build their own investing team here before getting into the business, or maybe they have a couple properties and they want to expand and they want to scale. What are some of the most key players that you need to have on the team?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, right now I'm not a contractor type investor. So the stuff like new builds and flips, that's not my gig anymore. So right now I'm kind of an equity buy and hold investor. So for example, I bought 94 brand new row homes last year in Edmonton, brand new. So I don't need contractors or builders or anything like that, because that doesn't fit into my lifestyle anymore. I don't have the patience after that flip disaster. I was like, I'm tired of contractors and dealing with permits and stuff. I'm just going to be a buy and hold person. It's more towards my lifestyle. So, but to that aspect, there's still teams. No matter what you do in real estate, you need a team. I might not necessarily need a contractor or a builder, but I have on these properties 3 different property managers. I have a team of bookkeepers. I have an accountant, 2 lawyers. I have all my joint venture partners because I raise a lot of capital from investors. So that is my team. So it really just depends on where you want to go with your investing, and the team will change. But nonetheless, you will always need a team. You cannot do everything by yourself.
So at this point, you make a call for something is done within the next.
It's pretty good. I have a pretty good team, and it was kind of by just survival that you kind of build that. It's never like I never sat down and like I need this, I needed this. You just kind of. You start living the way you want to live, and by osmosis, you recognize who you need with you.
And do you feel like you work, not that you don't work as hard as you used to, but do you feel like you don't need to work as hard as you used to now, and you make more money just because of the different people you have on your teams and stuff?
I work a lot. I would say this is that I work a lot, but I choose when I work. I'm always on call. I'm more of a monitor.
Yeah,
I monitor my schedule every day. But tomorrow, if something happens and someone says you got 4 hours for some amazing 4 hours off. Like there's nothing tying me to my calendar, but I choose when I want to work because the machine operates. That's the beauty. When you create a machine, it's not one person that controls the machine. It's a machine. One person steps out, it'll keep going. Now, obviously, if I disconnect for a month and never respond to anybody, the machine will collapse. But I built it enough that I can step away for a day, several hours per day, and it doesn't change much, man. So I think it's all the work was done before, but now it's more of a supervisory role, even though I still do work.
Yeah.
No, that's the best answer I can give on that.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I feel like that's the beauty of especially real estate investing, right? They say it's passive. It is passive in a way, but you're still putting in the work. But it allows you to do things like travel the world and, still be making money even when you're not here, right? I know you do mortgages as well, but just like, let's focus on the investing side. The fact that you have properties that are making money while you're traveling for you, it's got to be fucking good. And I feel like that's why a lot of people want to get into the business.
It depends on why you want to get into business. So recognize your why. So when I first traveled and I came back broke, that story when I started investing, I always look back at, I wanted to go back to that traveler lifestyle, the freedom, but obviously with some more money in the game. So now when I invest, I'm always conscious about the lifestyle. There's a lot of things that I don't invest in because it would require too much of my time or too much of my presence. I have a golden rule that if my physical presence is required, I'm not interested. That's it. Damn. That's my rule. I'm not saying that should be your rule.
You know what? It's funny you say that because
I'm not interested.
I told myself I'm doing what I'm doing now, but anything I take on moving forward is the same thing. Like I got to be able to do it 100% remotely. And I feel like that's kind of where we're trending now. Like, you know what I mean? Like
a lot of people can do it, but it's not for everyone. Like, I have a lot of good friends and colleagues that are flippers, right? They do a lot of flips. I got to be on site every day, manage the contractors, the deliveries, not interested. Someone says to me, hey man, I got a great opportunity. Don't care. Nobody you made, don't care. Stop in your tracks.
So that's a golden.
Not interested.
Yeah.
I don't care how much money you can throw. The lifestyle is not for me. I am not interested. It's not all about profit. It's about lifestyle and living how you want. So if I can't do it remotely, just forget it.
That's a big one.
So the fact that I'm traveling all the time is just I always like to tell people I'm sorry to bug you on vacation. No, I'm just working from somewhere else. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's sick.
But my routine's the same. I wake up, have my coffee.
I was gonna ask you, like, what's the day in a life? Because you say some days.
I'll give you today's date. Okay, so today woke up at 5 actually.
Because you were excited to come on the pod.
That was the most of it. Yeah. So every day is different, but I get up early all the time because the morning for me is it's peaceful. The phone hasn't started, the emails haven't started. I get my thoughts together. So today I got up at 5, had my espresso, finished that book called The Chaos Machine about social media. At 7, I banged out about an hour emails. I went for a walk, and at 9 o'clock had a few calls. 10 o'clock, I had a coaching call with one of my students. 11 o'clock, I had therapy. Oh, that's right. Therapy, online therapy. Everybody needs therapy.
Hey, that's it. Therapy's not bad.
Yeah. 2 o'clock, I had Portuguese class.
Holy.
Oh, yeah. Portuguese class. In between that, it's emails and calls. Yeah. And then at 5 o'clock, I usually throw my laptop down and take a step back.
So by 9 a.m., you're basically ahead of half the city.
I have a rule. I could never not start. I can't get up late because I need that time in the morning to envision my day. So when I get up in the morning and have my coffee, I literally can foreshadow exactly how that day will go.
Same.
And it puts you in this state of power. You're not scrambling to rush things. I can literally plan out where I'm going, when I'm going to answer this email, this call, when I'm going for the walk, if I can answer some calls on the walk, when I'm driving, can I book a call? I map it out.
You're a lot more proactive than reactive, right? When you wake up late, you're just fucking reacting to everything that happens to you.
And sleeping till 9 I'm not 20 years old. I can't sleep till 9 if I try, but I recommend doing that as a routine is envisioning your day. Whatever that day is like. Even on Saturdays when I take my day off, I still envision what it's going to look like. It just keeps you tightly organized.
Do you journal and shit?
I don't do, not in the sense of just actually have a journal.
But maybe that's your way of journaling.
But I have this thing with my therapist. A therapist gets a bad taboo name, but I think everybody needs therapy just to kind of work on your thoughts. I have this thing where if anything ever causes an emotional reaction it's either sad, happy, glad, or angry, I record it. And I record it on my phone on my spreadsheet. What was the occurrence?
Why did you write it down or you speak it?
I write it down, and then next class we kind of go over it. And I had this, I went to this podcast and they made me so sad. What can I do to overcome that? Things like that. So I think just being aware is also very important.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's talk about, those people that are thinking about getting
How's
into
that
the
vodka,
market.
by the way? How many?
This is going to be how many drinks? Second drink.
Second drink? Yeah, but you're young. You can have it.
Yeah. It's almost the weekend, right?
Exactly. It's
Friday.
It's Tuesday evening somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's it. So, let's talk to the young people that want to get into the market right now. Interest rates are obviously fucking high. Top me up a little bit. I wouldn't say no to
Just a little je ne sais quoi there, right?
Dad's saying, yo, this is not a good time. Interest rates are fucked. Like you said, the world's about to blow up. What do you got to say to that person that's always wanted to, start building a real estate portfolio? Is there ever, here's what I'm trying to ask. Is there ever the right time? Is there ever timing the market perfectly?
No, there's never it's a good question. There's never the perfect time. Right? I use this analogy. Someone says, how do you ever know when prices are at their absolute bottom? You don't know something's at its bottom until it's gone back up.
Yeah.
Right? So people look like it's like this the jump rope. They're trying to time it in, and then they end up just standing there. Right? So the young people, I would say, don't be afraid to jump in, but also
calculated.
But surround yourself with people that are going to inspire you. I get calls all the time. The young people and then their parents who are not investors somehow give them advice on what they should do as an investor. Like if you're and I know parents are looking out for their kids, but to the moms and dads out there to own one property, you're not investors. How are you so arrogant to tell your child that they should not invest in real estate? What makes you believe that you know what you're talking about? You're not an investor, right? It's mind-boggling to me. And for the kids, recognize if your parents aren't investors, don't ask your parents for investment advice.
Exactly.
Surround yourself. There's enough stuff online, enough people doing what you're doing, what you want to do. Follow them. Get surrounded. They will motivate you. They will inspire you. You'll learn, and then you won't be so afraid to pull the trigger.
Just don't go to those investment conferences because they get you every time, man.
Well, those are ones like, hey, come to this free conference. Oh, thanks for coming. $14,000.
But wait, if you right now,
but 2 for 1. Yeah,
so,
two for one pizza, man.
So, guys, we heard the numbers. We heard Brock's resume. So, Brock, I have a question. What's your end goal and what keeps you motivated? When are you gonna sit back and say, "We got this many units. I think I'm satisfied"?
Never.
What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated?
It's inspiring. I had this talk today with my therapist. We were talking about life purpose and the 6 pillars of happiness. One of them is true, ultimate, profound life purpose. And she's like, "What do you envision?" I said, "I need to inspire. I need to influence this world." Might sound cheesy, but I can't leave this planet just being a blip and never having done anything profound.
So let's talk about that. What the kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
I want to go onto a stage with 20,000 people and cheer and inspire them. I want everybody to leave that conference being willing and able and ready to take action to better their lives, not just financially, but finances is a part of everything. To take action, to not be afraid, to go after your life, to recognize that time is running out. That's what I want to be. I want to be the guy that inspires me. And I get messages a lot from people, clients, that saying, "Thank you so much. I saw that post. It really changed me and my coaching students." And that really gives me affirmation to keep going. So that is what drives me. The money is great, all that stuff, but what good is money if you feel like an asshole or you're lying to people and cheating people and you're by yourself? That's just very empty life. I like meeting people like yourself. I can see it in your eyes that let's get fired up. That's what feeds me.
I like that.
Shit was fucking deep. Let me take a second.
Yeah, let me. So, do you got any Kleenex?
Let me take a drink.
Holy shit!
That was only one take on that too. That wasn't.
I know.
So my next question is, I want to take action, right?
Yep.
What are let's say 3 to 5, quick bullet points, pieces of advice, where from the very start. Step 1,
talk to your mortgage broker because, and I'm not saying that as a plug, because I'm a mortgage broker. But you
plug that in at the
end. No, by the way, I'm a mortgage broker. 613-316-8740, brockfrost.com.
Slow it down.
And then Jewel.
613.
So, no, the reason I say that first is it's hard to know what you should buy or can buy if you don't know where you stand financially. Like I would tell people, like, there's no point of going out and looking at apartment buildings if you can't buy an apartment building.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So let's get at least a snapshot of what we can do. Once we know what we can do, then we can break it down into all the options that you can. And we say, this is what you should do out of the options that you can do. So that's really step one. And I don't really want to say there's 5 steps, because it's really, you got to do step 1 before you do step 2. So really it's step 1 is that.
And don't mean to cut you off, but step 1 could be something as simple as start building your credit, right?
It could be, but if you start with a mortgage broker or your bank, they might say, like, your credit's not sufficient. Do this to build your credit. That's really the first step.
It's for guidance.
Then we bring in a realtor, really, because then we start looking at all the things that you can do. Here's all the options available, and then after that, we start building a team by osmosis. You're going to need a lawyer and all those things after that.
You use that word a lot this podcast. I'm not going to lie to you. Osmosis? I have no clue what the hell that is.
Osmosis it means by unintentionally absorbing.
Okay.
I thought that was a shawarma spot. That's osmosis.
Is it? You guys getting hungry too? Osmosis is just like something. It just absorbs by automatically.
See, you learn something new literally every single day. Osmosis. Is that that's what the OSMO?
Yeah, I like that word just because it truly indicates what I mean. It's like you just learn automatically. You will unintentionally learn it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people
osmosis
right
here.
Exactly. See, a lot of people. I'm osmosis all over the place.
A lot of people overthink shit, right? And I feel like
analysis paralysis.
That's the thing right there. The number one thing that stops you from taking action is overthinking. Don't get me wrong. You gotta go in with a fucking plan and shit. But don't be that person that's just putting in plan after plan after plan and not fucking executing on anything, right? And that's beautiful that you mentioned osmosis. Just fucking start. Go see a mortgage broker. See what you can fucking afford. Start actively looking, and things are gonna start falling into place as you need them. Don't overthink shit and not take action, because that's honestly, like, there's so many people that I've worked with as a realtor in the past when the market was on the rise at the beginning of COVID and all that kind of shit, that were just like, I'm just planning for this. You just fucking missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yep. And you know what, man? I was one of those people, right? When I first got into this business.
Kicking yourself. And then you kick yourself. You're like, I'm going to wait for it to go back down to it used to be. And then you waste another 2 years.
Yeah. Because what happened is right before I got into the business, because obviously once you get into the business, you need 2 years of income to be able to purchase something. I remember talking to you. Matt told me, fucking go buy this townhouse in Barhaven for $300K before you quit your job.
300. See, now you would have done.
And I was like, this guy's trying to fucking hustle me. He's just trying to get a deal at it.
And he was, but rightfully so. Sometimes good sales pitches is for your benefit.
Fucking fast forward 2-3 years, that same place is selling for $600,000.
It's like a parent saying, eat your vegetables. It's forceful, but it's for your benefit.
100%.
No, to that point, so I said, like, if you have all the facts, I put this in my book. If you have all the facts and you don't take action, that's called fear. Now, if you take action and having no facts, that's called impulse. Oh. Now, if you don't have any facts and don't take action, that's just called being resourceful. Or if you have all the facts and take action, that's just being proactive. So you really got to recognize but most people that don't take action are fearful. They have the facts. If you tell me real estate is risky, I'm going to smack you. I tend to say that 4,000 years of history negate that comment. It's not. Okay?
You can throw your money in anything.
It's not. Tell me one real estate investor that's poor. Tell me, or let's rephrase this. How many real estate investors do you know that regret being real estate investors versus how many non-real estate investors that regret being non-real estate investors? That is a rhetorical question, no need to answer. It's staggering. It's basically 100 to 0.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God. I own so many properties and I travel so much. I have so much money. Honestly, I just wish I never did that.
Said no one.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
Even people that I know, the odd person that's made a bad real estate move or struggle, they get right back into it because it's a one-off. Nobody has ever, that I can think about, has ever invested in real estate, even lost money on a deal and said that was enough. I can't actually name somebody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So
get into the game is if we had to summarize this rant.
The moral of the story is get into the game.
Game.
Yeah. I just wish, like, I started when I was 30. And I have what I have at 41. Imagine I started at 20.
Exactly. That's why
Could be you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking questions from this perspective.
Yeah. Get into the game.
Of course.
Couple rapid questions before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Fucking busy.
For sure, man.
Holding them over here.
How many countries you been to?
103.
What's your favorite one? Or top
This
two?
guy's gonna
I
say
can't
Canada.
disclose that. Yeah, Canada. Honestly,
As a vacation.
it really depends on.
You've been to
the-
Lebanon?
I've never been to Lebanon.
Fuck are you waiting
And that's
for?
why Ottawa. I mean, I'm sorry, Ottawa. Half of Ottawa, like I said. Lebanon.
Sharma, capital of the world, baby.
Yeah, it's osmosis.
Let's
baby.
go.
Honestly, there's a lot of every country's good at least for once, right? Like there's some countries I would never go back to. I've been to like some deep heart of Africa, Burundi, all the Burundi people out there. God bless you, but I'm never going back to Bujumbura, man. That place was sketch. Venezuela, I went during the when they ousted Chavez's party from politics. I've been to Honduras during a military coup. And there's been some weird things, man. But I mean, everywhere's cool at least once. Everywhere, man.
Wait, time out. You've been to
countries,
Burundi, but you haven't been to Lebanon yet? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Hey,
Man?
it's all from my Burundi fan club out there. Huh? BurundiMortgages.com, man.
So you mentioned you're learning Portuguese. How many languages can you speak fluently?
Oh, I speak English, not bad. Spanish fluently. My French is pretty good, and I'm speaking Portuguese like my French. So
Nice.
the last 2 years I spent. So I just got back from Brazil. I was in Brazil for 8 weeks, and then a year ago, the same time frame, I was also in Brazil 8 weeks learning Portuguese. So like 5 days a week, 3 hours a day
Where'd you learn your Spanish?
in the streets.
On vacation?
You think
Like
I can
in
pick it
another
up, or
country?
it's too late for me?
It's
You have to immerse yourself. So you cannot learn a language online. All this Duolingo stuff. You get
bullshit.
the basics. You got to go there. That's why when I'm traveling, I have a big goal to speak 10 languages. So I'm like, if I want to learn a language, I got to go. So that's why I went to Brazil.
a lot of,
And I'm
like-
going back to Brazil again next January. Immerse it now. So I do the online courses now to maintain it, knowing that I'm going back to immerse
Curious
myself.
why I go to Brazil, not Portugal.
And what part of Brazil, by the way?
Você nunca foi a Brasil.
Oh, shit.
Can we get some subtitles?
Brasil é algo muito, muito, muito impressionante.
Yo, he's learning. He said he's learning, but it sounds like he's.
Si quiere que hable en español ahorita, yo puedo hablar también en español.
Sí,
That's Spanish. That's
sí,
Spanish.
sí, sí.
Cerveza.
Oh no, but my Arabic would be a bit offensive.
We got
I
you.
should.
Yeah, we got. It's a good 5 words you know, probably, right?
Je parle français aussi. They speak the English.
That's
Sprechen Sie
solid, man.
Deutsch?
I watched this guy.
Ni hao
On
ma?
YouTube. Watch this guy on YouTube. That same thing. He speaks a bunch of language. He travels fucking everywhere, and he's just speaking like
He's picking up
That's cool,
girls.
man. When you're
Brazil-
when
he was
you're
in
immersed,
Brazil,
when
actually.
you're immersed, like it's just different because you're forced to survive. So survival instincts. So you got a guy there, a taxi driver, and I go off the beaten path. I'm not at these resorts. So I got a taxi driver, doesn't speak a word of English. I'm speaking Portuguese. It comes out.
You kind of have to.
especially
Yeah.
with a little bit of liquid confidence, eh?
Confianza líquido.
That means liquid confidence,
Isso
guys.
That's
Então, muito obrigado por todos por vir aqui hoje.
If I close my eyes, it sounds like he's on the Brazilian national team.
Brasil.
Brasil.
Brasil. Bem-vindo a Brasil.
Damn.
O programa mais importante aqui na Ottawa.
What's important? Something about Ottawa.
I said no. I said I don't even know what I said.
It sounded good as
I was
fuck,
getting
though.
excited.
Hey,
man.
man,
I
it
was
was
getting-
convincing.
yeah.
So give me some 10-year plan. Where you see yourself in 10 years. We'll wrap this up pretty soon.
Yeah.
man. Let's just hit some rapid
Couple
fire.
questions. And
100
we'll
mil.
Get you out of here.
100 mil net worth.
Yeah.
That's fucking
And
solid.
I want to do like Tony Robbins stuff. I want to get on a stage and just
Walk
the crowd.
out.
I could facilitate that for you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So I've done a
Brock
couple of I've done a
Frost.
couple of seminars. Like I had one in Ottawa. Here it was my first one ever. First time I've ever been really nervous, where I almost puked before I went on stage.
Yeah.
How many people? Was
120 on my first ever. Just from social media coming out, listening about private mortgage on a Saturday in July.
Damn.
Yeah, so I want to just do it on a bigger scale. But
Yep.
It's good when you go there and when you're passionate about what you speak about and you know it's good content. It makes it a lot easier because you know people are going to benefit from what you're not.
And
I
you know
wasn't
your
selling
shit.
it. I wasn't selling anything.
And it's not like you're memorizing it. No, you know what you're talking about.
You don't
It's
need to
like
prep.
back
You
of your
just go
fucking
out there and you talk about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. Like obviously, I'm branding myself and you get business, but I'm not here like okay, at break, come and buy my books or sign up. Give me your emails. It's like, come here. Here's the information. You'll find me if you want to connect. If not, thanks for coming. Have a great day. You know?
What's one book you read that changed your life?
That one I just finished today, man.
There was another one you told me another time we talked about. Remember?
4 Hour Work Week. Timothy Ferriss. That is all about
osmosis.
Yeah, osmosis.
Do Brasil, Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal. Não me gosto do Brasil. What were we talking about?
The book.
Another book. No, a 4 Hour Work Week. So it's about. Do you know Timothy Ferriss?
Of course.
Yeah,
I've watched all this shit.
Yeah, so it's all about how you can restructure your life to have ultimate freedom, but without giving up the finer things like money.
Yeah.
Finer things like money, supplement sales. He was overworked and stressed and all, and he just put it on auto control, where he had different systems in place, but he was also living life. He's like, now I'm going to Brazil to study Portuguese. I'm going to Argentina to study tango. Now I'm a jiu-jitsu fighter, and now I'm a professional Thai boxer, all while becoming a millionaire.
This guy's wild.
And it's all about. And one thing, the best thing I took out of that, and I use it to this day. There was a chapter on, like, when a client tells me, do you have 5 minutes for a quick call? My soul dies. It's never 5 minutes. Yeah. And it's not that I don't want to talk to clients. I do want to talk to clients.
Fucks up your schedule.
But I don't have a half an hour. Like, some people just don't have as many calls per day. I don't have half an hour to get to them. So the book had all these secrets, like how to respond, saying, sorry, I'm on a call, I'm on a Zoom, and people are going to see this and say, oh my God, that's what you're doing to me. But it's about getting someone to text or email. If it can't be done, 99% of the time, it can be responded. Yeah. If it can't, let's jump on a call. Like, I'll jump on a call if I had to jump on a call. I hate calls for the sake of calls. Tell me your question. I can respond. I can do 10 responsive emails in the same time as one call that rambles on. Because calls there's always
text is straight to the point.
Efficiency.
Emails are just, they're matter of fact. Calls are like, oh, how's it going? And blah, blah. It's just time consuming. So that was one good thing. He had all these secrets about simplifying and systemizing his life. Hence the working 4 hours a week, but still running this machine. And that's where I learned a lot about hiring the team and the assistants, getting things in place to make it operate without you present. He only checks emails twice a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what's his voicemail too? It's like, I check voicemails on this time and this time.
Well, my voicemail now says, do not leave my voicemail. I do not check. No, it does. I haven't checked my voicemail.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, you're at that point.
Well, I have a rule though. If I don't recognize your number, and you don't text me, why am I calling you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who you are. There's enough crap spam calls that I'm not getting back to you.
Dude, I got
who doesn't text? And if you don't text, you're a landline or a spam caller anyway.
I want to steal that. I'm gonna take
I got
that.
a call the other day, and you know how it says spam under it sometimes? It literally said fraud. It's like, damn.
Yeah, like, CRA is on the way to your house right now.
Started fucking.
All right.
You got another question?
Next
man?
question.
You want to contribute to these rapid questions or what?
Because we can go on for like 5 hours, guys.
Yeah.
If you didn't choose this path for your career,
esa pregunta.
what would you do? What's your other like dream job? I guess if you didn't do this stuff, like as a little kid,
maybe a travel vlogger.
Travel vlogger? Well, you know, in those kids, you have some of these. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a. Honestly,
You did not grow up. I want to be a real estate.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, what did?
No, I didn't. But I guess I never really.
Like, did you have a plan before?
I didn't, man.
That trip.
And to say that, no, I didn't.
Red.
Like my university degree.
Before you threw it on red.
I was Van Wilder. So I did 2 years lap in university. I started in engineering because I was good at numbers. Then I'm like, that's boring. Then I went to biology. I'm like, wow, I fucking hate biology. Then I went into psychology. I'm like, wow, I'm fucked. Then I went into something else and something. And then I remember quitting for 2 years in bartending and going back to like the student services at Queen's saying, look, like, I need to graduate. I'm Van Wilder. Like, how do I graduate? Like, well, you're closest to an economics degree. I'm like, sign me up. And I did 2 years in 1 year just to graduate. So I didn't have any plan nothing, because I literally squeezed through a degree and then I hit the road traveling. So I didn't really ever think about it. I just wanted to be free. I learned at that age. I just wanted to be free is the kind of,
So realistically, did that degree help? Like, what are your thoughts on, I know we don't got much time, but what are your thoughts on Education.
Education.
Apart from being like a doctor, dentist, lawyer.
I would say it's better to be educated than not. However, I can also say that it's not a requirement to be successful. Education and formal education teaches you a lot about yourself. Like when I was at Queen's, you're first on your own. You're fending for yourself. In university, there's strict deadlines and hitting essays and being disciplined in a sense. Meeting like-minded people. Like, I was at Queen's, there's like 30,000 smart motherfuckers. Like I finished with a 51 average and they said, here, you get the fuck out of here, don't come back. But there were some smart people that got 100% averages. So you all this indirect knowledge. I've never actually used that degree. I have that degree proud at my house on my office wall. But I would never say I directly use that in anything.
I believe university is about the connections you make and not the degree.
That's it, man. I agree with that. So, but I would never discourage somebody to go to university, but I also say it is not an absolute requirement, and do not feel like a failure if you don't have a formal education. Because I know a lot of educated people that aren't smart, and a lot of smart people that aren't educated.
Some of the most successful people in the world they dropped out of college, right?
It's not a requirement. It's really not a requirement. But at the end of the day, if you literally just said, would I rather a degree or not? I would say yes. I don't feel like it's a requirement, especially nowadays. Like all these generalized degrees. Like what does that get you, man? Like it's all about the connection. You might go to university and meet the next Zuckerberg of the world.
That's my biggest regret, was not making that money.
All right, Mark.
Mr. Frost, man, just want to say always a fucking pleasure, man. Fire in the booth. Always dropping knowledge on us. Fucking nice seeing you again, man.
The baller Brock, we'll say.
Muito obrigado, vocês.
So where can people follow you, man? Where can people find you, use your services?
BrockFrost.com, Brock Frost on Facebook, Brock _Frost on Instagram. That is all I use. Or text me, 613-316-8740. Always happy to have a chat, just ideally not on the phone.
There you go.
There we go.
And you have some books you mentioned. Are they on Amazon?
They're on my website. Yeah. So I have published 3 books. They're on Amazon, but the link is through my my website.
Perfect. So we'll drop that in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We're gonna keep this rolling. This is the real estate series. We hope you love it. We hope you got some things from it today.
Subscribe, yo. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. Click the red button. It's free, guys. Just subscribe. Help us out. Drop a like.
That's not how you say it, man.
Share. It is how you say it.
Can I say it? If you guys are getting any value from this video and content, we would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button.
It's programmed.
Give us a like.
This is more.
God bless. Should we wrap this up?
Yeah,
we'll see you in the next one. All right.
Cheers.
Take it easy, guys.